Eliza, a kind waitress, with a heart as big as the savannah, walked down the dusty road, balancing a plate of hot rice and beans. By the side of the road, under the shade of a big acacia tree, sat an old man named Edgar. His clothes were torn, and his face was lined with worry. But his eyes were always kind. Every single day, after her shift at the small roadside restaurant, Eliza would bring Edgar a plate of food. "Here you go, Papa Edgar," she'd say with a gentle smile. "Eat well, so you can be strong." Edgar would nod, his eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, my child. May the ancestors bless your path and fill your life with sunshine." Eliza didn't have much. She lived in a small hut with her younger sister, Dorothy, and they barely had enough to eat. Her friends at work, Felista and Rachel, often told her she was being foolish. "Eliza, why do you give your food away?" Felista would ask, shaking her head. "You need it more than he does." "That old man is just lazy," Rachel would add. "Exactly. We all work hard. You should save your money and food for yourself and Dorothy." But Eliza would just smile. "He is hungry, and I have a little to share. Kindness costs nothing." One evening, a powerful storm swept through the village. The wind howled like a hungry lion, and the rain fell in heavy sheets, turning the ground into mud. The next morning, when Eliza went to look for Edgar, he was gone. His usual spot under the acacia tree was empty. Eliza felt a deep sadness in her heart. She worried about the old man, hoping he had found shelter from the terrible storm. Days turned into weeks, and there was still no sign of Edgar. Eliza missed their daily chats and the wisdom in his old eyes. She continued to work hard, but a small part of her felt empty. One sunny afternoon, as Eliza was sweeping the front of the restaurant, a fleet of shiny, black cars, the kind she had only seen in magazines, pulled up, kicking up a cloud of dust. The villagers all stopped and stared. Who could be visiting their small, quiet village in such grand style? The door of the fanciest car opened, and out stepped a tall, handsome man in a sharp, expensive suit. He was followed by another man, Dennis, who looked like his assistant. The man looked around, his eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on Eliza. He walked straight towards her. Felista and Rachel gasped, hiding behind the doorway of the restaurant, peeking out with wide eyes. The man stopped in front of Eliza. His smile was warm and familiar. "Eliza," he said, his voice deep and kind. Eliza looked at him, confused. "Do I know you, sir?" The man chuckled. "You do. Though I looked a little different when we last met." He then said, "May the ancestors bless your path and fill your life with sunshine." Eyes widened in disbelief. She looked closer at the man's kind eyes. "It couldn't be Papa Edgar," she whispered. The whole village was stunned into silence. The old, homeless man was actually a billionaire. Edgar, or rather, Mr. Edgar, explained everything. He was a wealthy man from the city who had lost his memory after a car accident months ago. He had wandered into their village, confused and with nothing but the torn clothes on his back. He had no idea who he was or where he came from. "I was lost and alone," he said, his voice full of emotion as he looked at Eliza. "Many people saw me, but they only saw rags. They ignored me, or worse, they chased me away. But you saw a human being. You showed me kindness when no one else would. You shared what little you had, without ever asking for anything in return." He explained that the big storm had jogged his memory. The loud clap of thunder had suddenly brought everything back. But he never forgot the poor waitress who had been his only friend. "And I have returned to thank you," Edgar said. He turned to his assistant, Dennis, please." Dennis stepped forward and handed a set of keys to Eliza. "Mr. Edgar has bought the restaurant for you," Dennis announced, "and this is the key to a new, fully furnished house for you and your sister." Tears streamed down Eliza's face, but they were tears of joy. Felista and Rachel stood by, their mouths open in shock. They couldn't believe their eyes. The person they had mocked was now the owner of the very place they worked. Mr. Edgar turned to the crowd of villagers. "Let this be a lesson to all of you," he said, his voice booming with authority. "True wealth is not in what you have, but in what you give. A kind heart is more valuable than all the gold in the world. Eliza is the richest person in this village, not because of the house or the business I have given her, but because of the goodness she carries within her." Eliza, overwhelmed with gratitude, hugged Mr. Edgar. "Thank you," she cried. "Thank you." From that day on, Eliza's life was changed forever, but she did not change. She hired more people from the village, paid them well, and always made sure there was a free plate of food for anyone who was hungry. She told Dorothy that the most important thing in life is to be kind and to help others, no matter how small you think your contribution is. And the villagers learned a valuable lesson. They learned to never judge a person by their clothes or their appearance, because you never know the king who might be hidden in a beggar's rags. The real treasure is kindness, and it always finds its way back to you, multiplied. The lesson from this story is simple. Be kind to everyone, no matter who they are or what they look like.